Taking a look at that first argument, either the National or the American League wins. The National League did not win. Since the National League did not win, the American League did win. You know, our first step is to reconstruct the argument in the standard format. So the conclusion is the American League won. Since was kind of a premise indicator. I think it also indicated the sentence before it was a premise as well, but the first premise being either the National League wins or the American League wins. Another way of saying we had a shorter way, but I think that expresses it as well. And the second premise being the National League did not win. And it looks to us like a valid form of inference. Now let's take a look at it in a little bit more detail. Okay, and now we're going to see, remember I said in propositional logic, in sentential logic, the components of the arguments are all going to be sentences or propositions. So if we look at that first premise, either the National League won or the American League won, we see the National League won is a sentence, and it is part of that first premise. And we can replace that premise, that proposition, with the blue box. And we see that there's another sentence that is involved in this inference, and that is the American League won. So we'll put an ellipse, a circle, sort of, so to speak, and a rounded object around that, a green one. So now looking at that second sentence, that is the American League won, the one that we're putting this ellipse, this circle sort of around, the American League won. And notice we can substitute that circular object for the two occurrences of the sentence in the argument. And notice what we see now, it's either something or a different thing. It's not the case that the first thing, therefore the second thing. Or the way that we're going to do that is, last time we replaced predicates with letters. This time we're going to use capital letters, P, Q, R, S, and T, probably. We probably won't get anywhere near that for our sake. But P are going to represent individual sentences or propositions. So P is going to be the National League won, and we're going to just substitute it in both cases. Now in the next case, Q is going to be the American League won, which now is this ellipse, this circular object that's green. Q is going to replace that. And now we see that the inference is, P or Q, not P, therefore Q. That is either P or Q, not P, therefore Q. And this sounds like a good inference, because P or Q tells you at least one of those two are true, maybe both of them. If that's the case and not P is, or P is false, it's not the case that P, Q has to be true. This is what's called disjunctive syllogism. Feldman calls it argument by elimination. Disjunctive syllogism, you guys saw categorical syllogism. This is a syllogism of disjuncts, either or. Argument by elimination means you have one or two choices. One of them isn't the case, the other one's there. And we see that this is a good form of argument. And when we look at it now, we can see that we have, here's the argument. We see it's the form disjunctive syllogism. It looks like it's a good one, a logically strong, a well-formed pattern of argument, pattern of inference, form of argument. And that is going to be our first kind of good argument, good form of argument, good pattern in the sentential or propositional logic.